down this hallway. I'm really happy to see all of you. I didn't think at 9 o'clock on Friday, I said, who will be there to hear me? But thank you so much for attending. Thank you for being here. I have my assistant. She'll be here in a few minutes. I did bring some information on me, so I can share that out. Plus, I got some posters, specially ordered for you guys for the chakras. All right, let's see. Where's all this stuff? Okay, that's good that I have a mic, because I thought with all this sound going on outside, it would be very difficult. This is an open space here. So how many of you have come to the New Living Expo for the first time? First time? Oh, okay. Wonderful. So what do you think of the event? It is always so generous in the number of exhibitors that come out here to share their knowledge, their products, and I wish all these years that I've been coming that I would have some time to go and check everything out, but I luckily have been so busy that I never get the time until I'm leaving, and I'm like, oh, they have mattresses, and look at the foot massage, and and all that wonderful stuff. So experience everything is just wonderful, wonderful things here, which I've heard about, not experienced yet myself. All right, so my name is Usha. It means dawn in English. I was born in Sindh. Sindh is the southern province of Pakistan, and my family and our religion is Hindu, and they are still. Did any of you watch Gandhi, the movie? It's an old one now, but it explains how India was split into numerous countries, and it was based on a religious majority. So the Hindus went to India, and the Muslims came to the western and the most eastern parts of the country, and they were called West Pakistan and East Pakistan. And then, of course, in '72 we have Bangladesh happen. So in '73, my family moved to Bombay, because we're Hindus, and every time there was a war with India, or we've still got India and Pakistan have never been friends. So they still have a lot of stuff going on the borders still. They're still fighting on Kashmir, which is the northernmost part there of India, and it's a very pretty part. Anyway, I'm just giving a little bit of background so you know that I was born and raised in Sindh, and then we moved to Bombay because of all the political reasons, that the government would change, if there was war with India, and they would just come and round up all the Hindus and lock them up, take away their stuff. So my father had finally had it. So I was born in the early 50s, before the Salk vaccine came out, which was to eradicate polio. And so I was 18 months old, and I was a fast child, which means I walked quick, I talked early. Before 9 months, I was, already on my feet and running into stuff like a toddler. And I got polio. And polio affected my lower limbs, so I was paralyzed back down. So my mother took me to different doctors in India, in Pakistan, and Germany, and England. And none of the surgeons could give her 100% recovery for myself, even if they did surgeries on me or any kind of treatment that they offered at the time. So she had heard about this saint, and he was Sufi, and even though she was raised Hindu, she took me to the Sufi saint, and his name is Sai Nasir Fakir. And I remember being about 4.5, 5 years old, and I wasn't able to walk much because I used to wear braces all the way to my knees, laced up, and I had little things in my hand to help me push myself forward to be able to walk. And she took me to this Sufi saint, and he gave a blessing, and he put his hand on my head and said, told my mom not to worry, as she grows up, she will walk. And sure enough, my mother put the faith in him, because she wasn't receiving any kind of validated recovery promises from any of the doctors. So she stopped taking me to the surgeons, but she continued with the physical therapy, etc. But sure enough, I do walk, and I have no muscles in my knees. And even when I was 24, my grandfather insisted I go to Birmingham. He heard about this famous surgeon there and wanted me to get checked out and see what he could do to help me. because I would fall all the time. And in India, we do arranged marriages. The moment the daughter turned 16, they're worried about getting the girl married off. And here I was, hobbling around. So the surgeon, as he looked at me walking in, said, "Where's the patient?" And I go, "I'm the patient." And he goes, "Well, you shouldn't be walking in." I'm like, "Well, I do walk." He said, "Well, how do you walk?" I said, "I don't know, I walk." And so he told me, he says, "It's a miracle, because even as they measured the muscles in my knees, I had none. It was 0 point something in my left one and 0.2 in my right one." So it always amazed the doctors that I would have the ability to walk. When I was about 12 years old, well, actually, let me go back a little. I was just about 6.5, 7 years old, and I could always see different colors around people, and people, family members and relatives and friends and neighbors would come over and discuss arranged marriages for, a young man in the family, and I would tell them, "Oh, this one's compatible, that one's not," or pick up the names, etc. Or I'd be sitting in my grandfather's lap, and he'd have business people coming and going from his office, and I would whisper to him, "Oh, Baba, this man is lying," or, "Don't believe this guy, blah, blah, blah." So they always knew that she has the ability to see stuff other than what average persons were doing. So they would always treat me not as a special child, but more as like, "Oh, she knows, don't ask her, she'll spoil the fun." Even if they were playing a game of cards, don't ask her, don't let her play cards with you, Or if they're my dad's friends loved horse racing, so sometimes they'd come and ask me, "Come on, tell me which horse to bet on," things like that. So it was all fun and games at the time, but when I turned about 12, since my mother would always make it an annual pilgrimage to go and see the Sufi saint, I remember going there and asking him. My mother said, ask him, what are you going to do when you grow up? So ask him if you'll be a doctor." So I asked him, I said, "Will I be a doctor?" And he went like this to me and said, "You'll be Usha." And I was like, whatever, because that was my name. So what does he mean by that? Because I didn't understand it at the time. And then he told my mom, he said, what did I do? So I am so sorry.
No, it's not you, dear. It must be the technology.
It must be the technology. Okay.
I have no idea what I'm doing, so I'm guessing.
All right. Is this better? I don't hear that screaming.
Feels like you got everything up before.
Okay. We'll see if it goes. If not, I'll have to yell. So we'll just become a closer group. Anyway, so he said that she will be like a doctor, so she will heal. But I never took that to really mean that I would be using the abilities that I took for granted to help me in that path. So I was a pre-med student thinking of doing the rightful thing and studying medicine. Am I loud enough now? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I went to pre-med, but I wasn't able to go through Anatomy 101. We had, imagine this, 90% humidity, no air conditioning, and the degrees are close to 100, and you have cadavers lined up in the anatomy class. To this day, I still remember the stench and all the maggots crawling, and I could not handle it. So I was like, to me, as I looked at the cadaver, I could tell who this individual was in his life or her life, and I didn't want to see it. So I stopped attempting to go through medical college and went on to get my bachelor's in international relations, and then went on to finish with my master's in economics. And I thought all along that even as I had the ability to see stuff and I could tell by the aura colors or just by seeing people what was happening or where they were coming from, literally I could see past lives, who they were in this lifetime, what their spiritual connection was to the spirit, to themselves, to their religion, to their belief, and where they were headed to, and how certain events would take place. And I realized as people were not informed